Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Geek Dad Reports Comics with Crave. I'm Brian West.
And I'm Ryan Thomason.
And tonight, we decided that with Netflix releasing the next couple of days the new series, The Umbrella Academy, it'd be fun for us to dive back and check out the comic that inspired it all. So tonight, we're going to be reviewing The Umbrella Academy, the Apocalypse Suite.
We went in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, way back machine.
Back time. A whole 10 years.
Well, to be fair, this collection was actually just re-released last August. So
yes. So thank you, Dark Horse, for releasing the Apocalypse Suite, which was Volume 1, and Dallas, which was Volume 2. And then actually in October of 2018, the Umbrella Academy Hotel Oblivion was released. So there was a whole bunch of resource material for everyone to go through before they start watching the Netflix show.
Yes, and so like we said, we knew nothing about this at all. We knew it was a series that had been out for a while. It's not a monthly running series. It kind of runs, 6 issues here, 6 issues there. I think there's only a handful of collected editions. Period. So, but we saw the trailer for the new Netflix.
That's it.
Yeah, we saw the trailer, and the trailer just looked insane. And so we were like, we got to know more about this. And so we checked out the comic book, and I'm glad we did because this comic book is crazy.
It is. It's crazy. And I'm really interested to see like how well it adapts to the screen, because if they do it faithfully, it's going to be pretty rad. I really want to see Space Boy on the screen. As a man, Space Boy man.
Yes.
So.
Well, and we'll try not to talk too much about the Netflix series because this is a review of the comic book, but obviously we're going to reference a little bit. But before we dive into it, do you want to tell everyone who this was created by?
So the book that we are reviewing is The Umbrella Academy Apocalypse Suite.
Yeah, 1 through 6.
And it is 176 pages. You can get the whole collection out right now, like Brian said, on Dark Horse.
And if you buy it on digital, it's only $4.99 right now.
Cheap for 176 pages.
Yeah,
dude.
For this comic book, $5 is well worth the price.
Yeah. The creator and writer is Gerard Way. The artists are Gabriel Bá and James Jean, who does the covers. And then there's a whole bunch of letters. Do we want to go through all the letters and colors?
No, we don't need to do all that. I will say this real quick. Here's one of the covers. The artwork is fantastic. The comic itself has great artwork as well, but the covers are just beautiful. So shout out to all the covers.
So the basic premise is that there was a whole bunch of babies.
I think it was like 43 or something babies.
Yeah, 43 babies that were just spontaneously born.
Yeah, the mothers weren't pregnant the morning they woke up, and they had babies in the afternoon.
Just standing there, and all of a sudden a baby pops out.
Yeah, and a space alien tries to collect all the babies, but he can only get 6. I think 6 or 7.
Yeah, I suppose now I don't think.
Yeah, it says like literally in the opening pages.
Oh, okay.
He's like an inventor, a genius, and an alien, but it doesn't really tie into the story very much.
Reginald something.
Yeah, honestly, we could try and describe this comic book, and I think we would fail miserably because it's lunacy. One of the main characters has a space accident, and he gets his head put on a giant like gorilla body.
Yeah,
and he lives in space.
And so the 7 that Dr. Reginald Hargreeves adopts, and they all have different powers.
And he trains them at the Umbrella Academy, which is hence the title of the series. But
and so then they've been doing this since they were kids. Bad things happen.
Yeah, so we get 2 different time frames in this comic book. One is when they are kids, and one is when they're adults. Some of the characters are still kids, but every character has a power. It's not made entirely clear what all their powers are. That was the only thing that I didn't really like about this first series is some of the characters you weren't very clear of what their powers what they could do, right? You had their names, like there was there's one, the girl, her name was Rumor. I don't know if she could use manipulation with her voice.
She got incapacitated pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is a very violent comic book, but and there's one guy who's kind of like Batman, but he is also like Aquaman, I think.
The Kraken.
Yeah, so the power sets were not very well established, which did it left me a lot of times trying to figure out exactly what they did do. But I really did enjoy it. There was a family dynamic here. I mean, listen, this comic book is talking gorillas, people's heads on gorilla, or talking chimps, people's heads on gorilla bodies.
Chimpanzee caretaker.
There is an orchestra that has the ability to destroy the world, but they destroy the world by crashing moons onto the planet. Like, it's just crazy. This whole comic book is just nuts. Like, one of the children's powers is to travel into the future, but also to the past. And
he can travel to the future, but he can't go back into the past.
Yes, he can't go back to the past, but he does, and it's a different story. I mean, the whole thing is just nuts. This should not work as a comic book, but it really does, because they deal with family dynamics, and the whole story is really about a broken family that has these crazy circumstances. And because they make it about the broken family, it really works well.
Well, and it's about, a guy that is a shitty father.
Yeah.
And they acknowledge very much that he was a terrible father. And he really did not. Maybe they'll do it later, but he really didn't care about the kids other than trying to execute whatever his
agenda was. But you're not quite sure what that is. So I mean, the thing about we're kind of talking in circles. We don't want to give too much away. So we're trying to talk around the plot points in this, because it really is a good comic book, and it has some genuinely, truly shocking moments in it. So and I don't want to spoil them for anybody, but it's a weird comic book. I would have loved to be in the room when the showrunners pitched this to Netflix and says, we're going to make this into a show. So like your point earlier, I am very interested to see how much of this comic book they're able to adapt into the show. But I'm really interested to see it, and I want to read more. This series really intrigued me. I mean, I'm gonna go onto our Dark Horse app, and I'm gonna read the rest of this series they have, because it's very I want to know more about this universe and more about these characters and what happened in the aftermath. And I want to hear about Number 5's trip to the past, and I want to hear, there's a lot of things.
One brother.
Yeah, exactly. I want to know what happened to Number 6.
Number 6.
There's a lot. If I had to give one criticism, as a standalone story, there's a lot of holes that they do not answer. And by the end, you're still, in some ways, you're as confused as you were when you started this. In other ways, like I said, at least for me, I was drawn into this universe. I care about the characters, and I want to read more, which is a sign of a good series, leaving you wanting more. But
I was hooked on it. I actually started reading. Or I downloaded the Dallas one. I haven't had a chance to start reading yet, but because I flipped through all the way through, like the 20 extra pages of, all the extra stuff, and then I just automatically picked up.
And it's got great dialogue, and the story really just pops and goes fast.
The story's really well written. The dialogue it keeps a really good pace, and like you said, even with the weird orchestra, when. I don't want to give too much.
I know. There's powers you can play an instrument and cut people and blows people's brains out. You're like, what is going on? I'm not really sure. Yeah. So it's even as weird as it is. It's just a really interesting read. I mean, I read all 176 pages in about 30 minutes. I just blew through this thing really fast. Yeah.
So I really enjoyed Apocalypse Suite. I'm looking forward to Dallas, and then I will probably get started on the new ones that came out. Yeah,
definitely. The artwork was great. Like Ryan said, the story really turned and just popped real fast. It didn't slow down. The plot was amazing. It's well defined as far as what's going. Well, I guess not well defined. Their motivations are pretty well defined, and the story is well written. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. The story's well written, and at the end, it does a really good job of setting up a point to where you're going to be invested into what happens into the future.
So
and that was probably the best part of it, was that they were able to make the chaos of everything and
kind
they
of makes sense and
the ground.
And I didn't know how they were going to wrap it up, but they actually do a really good job of, to your point, the chaos, wrapping up the chaos by the end of the sixth issue, right? So, but as far as an introduction, I definitely recommend this. I highly recommend this comic book. It's gotten me very interested in this whole universe. I honestly think it'd be a really good read before you watch the TV show too, if you're gonna, because I have a feeling the TV show is gonna be really weird too. So this might give you a little bit of backstory.
It did a good job of putting things into context.
Yes,
it should, at least give you some kind of background for what the Netflix show is.
Lay a foundation for you to at least go into it having a basic understanding of some of this stuff, so it may not seem as strange. But
they only pull like 10% from what they got in the comic book. It's still going to be
amazing. I can't wait. So definitely recommend checking this out before you watch the show. So the Umbrella Academy, the Apocalypse Suite is available now on Dark Horse, like I said, for $4.99. So Geek Dad Report says buy this, read it, however you got to get your hands on it. Definitely check it out. I think you're going to end up diving headfirst into this universe and continue to read. So
we both read it on Dark Horse Digital.
Yes.
And if you feel like going out into the world and going to your comic book shop, you might have to ask them. I don't know if and they might have it because of the Netflix show, but
or Amazon. They usually have everything. So
Amazon, forgot about that.
There you go.
What Overlord.
All right, so the Umbrella Academy, check it out now. The Apocalypse Suite, great series. So until next time, everybody, thank you for joining us, and stay awesome, everyone.
And read more comic books.
Especially this one. It's really good.
We love it.
Yay.